Welcome friends, today we're gonna talk about Palworld. Now many of you would say that you've played this game, and that you like it. Some others would say that maybe it looks fine, but it's not really for them. But did you know that there are some people that vehemently hate this game? And I'd like to unpack that and have a look as to what the deal with this is. Palworld actually has an overwhelmingly positive review score on Steam. So the game is doing great actually, and people love it, and it even broke some records, with its insanely high most concurrent players, and with the number of downloads it had on Steam within its first 40 hours. So what are people so mad about? Well, the first thing is that there are a lot of very, and I mean very, similar assets in comparison to Pokemon. And I don't just mean mechanics either. Like how Palworld uses balls to catch and collect the monsters, things like that actually aren't even an issue. Because did you know that you actually can't copyright game mechanics? Not in America at least. But what is very concerning is how similar some of the models are. I mean, you can almost just fit some of these models right on top of each other. And even having slightly different, off-brand, or generic versions of characters from a popular game isn't technically illegal. But how similar does it have to be to cross that line? An old wisdom saying is, if you have a statue, and you use that as the base to begin carving a new statue, at what point does it become a different statue? Something to note is that it would be very unlikely to create 3D models that are this similar to something that pre-exists. Even if you're basing it off of that thing as a reference, as if to say that was your inspiration, to draw it and then to model it, that process has a lot of minutia to it, and when you've got something that comes this close, it becomes very suspicious. Because if these are assets that have been lifted and edited, then that might be a completely different issue entirely. But that's also not up for us to decide. That would be settled between the two companies involved in court. And as far as I know, there hasn't been any legal action from Nintendo as of now. And Nintendo is trigger happy with legal action. If there was something for them to litigate on this, then I'd bet they would have already done it by now. Now, I would like to also note that the company who's made Palworld, Pocketpair, has made a lot of other games that look concerningly similar to other popular titles. Like Craftopia, for example, takes heavy, and I mean heavy, inspiration from other games, notably Breath of the Wild. And I mean, look at this view, doesn't it just seem so familiar? But also, Genshin Impact and Tower of Fantasy ripped Zelda off really hard too. It's just a common thing that always happens. Everyone is always trying to make their own version of what's popular. Now, copycats and off-brands aren't inherently a bad thing. There's a lot of stuff that I like that are all imitations of each other. I mean, look at store brand products for example. Also, there's nothing new under the sun. And really, the entirety of art is collecting and combining different things that you can find in the same world that we all share. But another thing that I would like to bring up is that Pocketpair is sort of known for abandoning and neglecting their early access titles. But I'd say that most people who have played Palworld have also already probably gotten their money's worth out of it. Palworld is a pretty good game and people really like it. And the designs being similar to Pokemon isn't illegal, but stealing other people's work is. So if these assets are directly lifted, then that's a problem. But if none of these assets were directly lifted, they are so close that you'd have to ask, does this set a bad precedent for the industry? Tell me what you think.